this. Since the deficit is actually part of the debt, do you think that this massive debt that Obama, Pelosi, Reid, etc. have forced upon us is justified? No.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Next.
Am I up?
Yeah, I think you are.
I think we do this one in unison.
Yeah.
No.
let me just add
Stereo.
Let me just add something. You know, that's a big reason why I got into this race. The debt and the deficit is out of control. We've been talking about deficit and out of control spending for years. I mean, before Obama. This is Bush. And this goes back to Bush. But last year, we had a new record deficit. But we didn't have a new record by 10 or 20%. We had a new record by 400%. $1.6 trillion deficit. All-time record. And that was because of the bailouts, the handouts, the $800 billion stimulus package, which I was against all those things, by the way. But you would think this year would be better, right? We're not bailing anybody out. So it can't be as bad as last year. Guess what? Another new record. $1.6 trillion. Everybody. The Congressional Budget Office. Even Barack Obama himself says the federal spending is unsustainable. But yet, what do? They continue to spend. You know, but I think it's even worse. Not only do they continue to spend, but they try to mislead us into believing that they are doing something about the problem. If you remember the Obama's State of the Union address, what did he say? He said that he cares about federal spending, and so what he's going to do is freeze discretionary spending, but not this year, it's an election year. We'll do it next year. Well, guess what? That would amount to less than 1/2 to 1%. It would be virtually meaningless. Again, what they're doing is immoral. What we're doing is saddling the young kids, like the one you're holding, with the expenses and debt and wasteful spending of Obama and Pelosi. And again, this is more than wrong. It's another one of the things the government's doing is simply evil.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, spending.
The deficit and the taxation are not so much the cause of the problem, they're a symptom of the problem. And it gets back to those fundamental principles we all were talking about earlier. Our unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the fruits of our labor. And it's a symptom of government as we are progressing. I mean, even though it is taxation with representation, we are still heading into tyranny with the massive amounts of deficit they're imposing on us and our kids. And we have to get back to those founding principles that we, one, have our right to life, our rights to liberty, and the fruits of our labor. Otherwise, we have a government that is simply viewing us as basically chattel property to produce wealth for them. And that is why we have to so deeply have to get back to those founding principles and put an end to it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Doug Shipley. I'm from the metropolis of Gertie. Excuse me, I bring my Bible with me. I think everything so far presented is important questions and real problems in this country. But I think the most enormous problem is, if you're familiar, this Federal Reserve has given to foreign banks $28 trillion. That's Bloomberg report. $28 trillion. Now, that's an astronomical amount of money. And no one is held responsible or accountable. Our nation is bankrupt. The taxpayer is going to bail them out. How will you work to stop this and bring to justice the perpetrators of this crime?
That's a good question. You know what? I lost track. Who's up? Bill. Okay, go ahead.
Well, first and foremost thing that we have to do is get accountability of the problem, and that means we have to audit the Fed. With all the problems, because the problem is we really don't know how deep this problem runs. It could well be as dire as what was just read to us. But the problem is we don't know. So let's do that audit. Let's figure out what's wrong with the patient, and then let's fix it. There's a lot of discussion going on, but a lot of different solutions that folks are putting out there, whether we need to move away from our current curves to get back to the gold standard. There's a lot of discussion out there, but the first step is to get a firm and accurate assessment of where we are, and that starts with the audit. And then whatever criminal investigations fall out of that, let them run where they must. No bailouts, no pardons.
Thank you. Tim?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We need to audit the Fed. That's been something that we've been talking about. And it's another one of those things where, what is the argument against that? I mean, can somebody articulate an argument why we wouldn't do that? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Unless you're trying to hide something. Exactly. So I agree 100%. We need to audit the Fed. We need to figure out what's going on there, where the money's going, and again, take it from there. I'm pretty much in agreement.